Hello guys, I'm Katie. My story started when I was quite young. I was 7 when my father passed away from a heart attack. I was too young to remember everything, but I do remember that my father was taken to the hospital and never returned. My mom, Abby, seemed to be in grief but introduced me to her new man, Tom, just a month after my dad passed away. I was a confused child, but I did know that she was moving things fast. I also remember how my grandparents on my dad's side were constantly fighting with my mom about what she was doing. Looking back, I now realize that my mom was probably cheating on my dad with Tom. Tom became my stepfather when I was 8. I was a quiet child and didn't throw any tantrums, and my entire life changed within a year. My mom suddenly stopped caring about me and focused all her energy on her new man. I could tell you a lot of things about Tom, but then this would become a book. To keep it short, he didn't like me and constantly reminded me of the fact that he was doing me a favor by taking care of me. My mom always supported him and never found anything odd with his behavior. I was soon forgotten and neglected by my mother, but I only made it through because of my grandma, Celia. My mom and Tom were not nice people. They only liked to have fun and leave me behind to fend for myself. I spent over 10 years suffering, living in a household where I wasn't loved or wanted. Then, when I was a little away from turning 18, my mom and stepfather sat me down to say, "You need to start looking for jobs, Katie. We're not going to keep you around for free anymore." What? But why? I can't get a job now. I have my finals coming in a few months. That is your problem, Katie. I have looked after you for 10 years and I won't be doing it anymore. I'm selling my house and moving to a bigger place. By the time we move, I need you to start paying me rent. At least give me some time to finish my school. This is really unfair. Mom, are you okay with this? You will turn 18 soon, Katie. Now it's your turn to look after yourself and contribute to this household. Tom is right. We took care of you and can't do it anymore. You need to do what he says and find a job. The news was kind of sprung on me, and I didn't know what to do. I begged them to at least let me finish school because I simply couldn't find the time to work at a job and complete my studies at the same time. I really wanted to go to college and knew that I wouldn't get into one if my grades tanked. I begged them, but they were adamant that if I didn't pay rent, they would throw me out. In my frustration, I called my grandma and told her everything while I cried my eyes out. I was scared about what I was going to do, and my grandma was the only one who could calm me down. She told me to come over so that I could vent to her in person, and that's when she suddenly said, "Do you know why your stepfather is selling his house? He thinks that the house will sell for a lot of money and he'll use that to pay off his bills or something. Your stepfather does have a beautiful house. It is a shame that he's selling it. He doesn't have the ability to keep a nice house, Grandma. The lifestyle he lives in doesn't match his income. He has accumulated a lot of credit card debts over the years. I guess that's catching up to him now, so he's being forced to sell it. I'm pretty sure that money would be gone soon, too." "Do you know who his real estate agent is?" "I don't know, Grandma. Why?" "Find out who his real estate agent is and then send me his name or phone number." I agreed to do what my grandma wanted. I told her that I would definitely try and get that information out of my stepfather. I had no idea what she was up to, but I was willing to do what she wanted. I trusted my grandma and knew that she was the only one who wanted the best for me. So I got to work, and within a short time I was able to find out the name of Tom's real estate agent. I sent Grandma his name and phone number after looking it up on Google. My grandma reverted back to me after a few days. She actually called me up and told me to come over as she wanted to discuss something serious. I had no idea what she wanted to talk about, but went there anyway. I knew there was a possibility that she would tell me something about Tom's house. And I was right about that. Grandma sat me down and said, "I got in touch with your stepfather's real estate agent, Katie." "Oh, why?" "I have been wondering why you wanted his phone number." "Well, I called him up to find out the asking price for Tom's house." "Did you find out? How much is he asking?" "It's a decent rate. He wants to sell his house fast, so he's willing to go a little lower if he gets the funds immediately. So what do you think, Katie?" "About what, Grandma?" "What do you think about buying the house for yourself?" I was taken aback by my grandma's words. I didn't know why she was asking me about buying a house. I didn't even finish high school and didn't have a regular job. Whatever money I got was spent on my personal hygiene products. My savings were like $200, which I had hidden away from myself and my family. I couldn't even imagine buying a trailer, let alone a big house like my stepfather's. In the beginning, I thought that Grandma was just pulling my leg, but her expression told me that she was serious. I said, "I don't know what you're talking about, Grandma." "The house is very pretty, and even you love it. I have seen a lot of houses for sale, and I can guarantee you that this house won't be on the market for long. If you buy it now, you will be able to sell it for a bigger price, even in case you don't want to stay here long term." "But that house will cost a lot of money, Grandma." "The price he's asking is low enough for you to afford, Katie." "What do you mean, Grandma? I'm just a high school student. Where will I get the money? I have only $200 in my name." "Well, for now you have $200, Katie. Soon you will have a lot more money than that. Way more money, if I may say." "That's impossible, Grandma. I am not going to win the lottery in a few days." "Perhaps not, Katie, but you will gain access to your trust fund after you turn 18. That was entirely new information for me. I had no idea what trust fund she was talking about. As far as I knew, my father and Grandpa hadn't left me anything. My father had apparently given it all to my mother, and my grandfather only had my grandma's name in the will. So I didn't know why Grandma was mentioning the trust fund. I looked confused and said, "What trust fund, Grandma? Who left me a trust fund?" "Your father and grandfather left you a trust fund, Katie. Don't you know about it?" "No, I have no idea what you're talking about, Grandma. Mom always told me that nothing was left to me in either of their wills." "What in the world, Katie? That's not true. You have 2 sizable trust funds waiting for you once you turn 18. "What? I didn't know any of this, Grandma. I had asked Mom, but she always claimed that I got nothing from them. Just some sentimental items that don't cost anything." "Well, she straight up lied to you, my dear." I was completely mind-blown by what my grandma said. She proceeded to tell me some details about these trust funds, and it had a lot of money. I won't be telling you how much money because I think that should remain private, but I can tell you that the money would set me for life. Apparently, these 2 funds were under Grandma's control because both Grandpa and my late father didn't trust my mother enough to let her have control over it. I was in shock when I learned the full extent of what was hidden from me. I was in complete disbelief. At that time, the only thought that was swirling in my brain was why my mother had lied to me about my inheritance for years. I said, "Why did Mom say that I didn't have anything?" "I have a feeling she was trying to hide it from you so that she could access your money and have it taken away without you noticing." Oh, God, that makes so much sense. This is why she never wanted to discuss finances with me, and always avoided my questions when I asked her to show me exactly what Dad left for me. Your father was a smart man, Katie. I wish you had met him when you were older. You two would have had a great bond. He loved you a lot, you know. He stayed in that ridiculous marriage because he didn't want you to grow up in a broken home. My heart felt heavy when my grandma was talking about my father. I really missed out on knowing him, but knew that he loved me a lot. I wish I had more time with him. I couldn't even properly remember what he was like. My mother wasn't the best parent, and after marrying my stepfather, she forgot that I even existed. So when I heard these stories about my father, it really made me sad. I said, "I wish I had more time with him, Grandma. I don't know why God took him away from me. Maybe if he was alive, I wouldn't have been so alone and neglected." "It's all fate, my dear. I know you didn't have the best life because of your mother, but now you have a chance to make things right for yourself. Maybe even have some revenge while you're at it." "How do I do that, Celia?" "Can't you understand why I'm telling you to buy Tom's house? He has threatened to kick you out, right? Give him back the same treatment that he gave to you. Show him that you are not under his mercy." It was then I realized what a great idea buying the house would be. According to my grandma, I could spare the money to purchase the property and have it as an investment home. Tom was giving a good price on the house, and I knew back then why it is a good idea to buy a house when prices are low. Also, the chance to have some revenge made me a little too eager as well. I talked to my grandma about this a little more, and then said, "You know what, Grandma? Let's do it." "So you want to buy the house?" "Yes, I would like to buy the house. Investing in a house is never a bad idea anyway. Plus, I can't pass off the lucrative opportunity to have some revenge." "Good decision, Katie. If you're sure, I will talk to the agent and stall him for a few days. Once you turn 18, we can open a personal bank account for you, and I will transfer all the money to you. It won't be difficult for you to buy a house once you are of age. Also, please request the agent to keep our identity a secret. I know Tom won't bother to meet with us because he just wants to sell the house and move on, but I don't want the agent slipping and telling him what we had planned." "Sure, I will let him know that, Katie. Let's do this." I told Grandma to move ahead with the plan and then return home. I couldn't buy the home right away because I hadn't turned 18 then. So we had to wait a little before making the purchase final. It was only a week away from my birthday, so I didn't have to wait for long. My grandma talked directly to the real estate agent and Tom's lawyer, so I didn't have to be there for every meeting. At home, my stepfather was in a great mood. Him and my mom were discussing how they would soon sell the house and get lots of money. Tom said that he already had someone who was willing to buy the house outright, so he was very happy. They didn't know that I was the buyer. Then, one day, I was walking by their room when I heard them having this conversation. "We will be rich in a few days, Abby. My agent has confirmed that the house sale will be finalized soon." "I'm so happy, Tom. It's been a long time since we've taken a vacation. We should definitely plan something with that money." "Of course, Abby. I'm not going to put that cash in my credit card bills. You already have a separate plan for that." "Yes, my dear. Just give me some time. Soon, Katie will turn 18 and she will get access to her trust fund. I already have a joint account with her, so I will have access to the money as well. I will take it out of the account and put it in our names before she notices anything. Yeah, we can use that money to pay off our debts and get a better house. We are also making Katie pay for rent, so we'll have that income as well. We will have an even better life than before, Tom. I simply can't wait for the day to come. I knew that my mother wasn't the best mother on the planet, but I had clearly underestimated just how bad she was. I couldn't believe that my mother was really planning to steal my money and use it to pay off hers and Tom's debts. Yes, I had a bank account with her, because here you cannot have a personal account if you're under 18. That's why Grandma had told me to open a new account once I turned 18. She was also right in thinking that Mom was planning to use the money for her expenses, and she was never going to tell me that I had got an inheritance from my father and grandfather. After I heard Tom and my mother's sinister plan, I went back to my room and cried my eyes out. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I tried to convince myself that my mother wasn't that bad. That hope had kept me sane for the last 10 years. But that night I knew that she was a horrible woman and didn't deserve to be a mother. She had no problem exploiting and depriving her own daughter to have fun with her second husband. I had realized something else that night. My stepfather was so nasty to me because my mother never protested or stood up for me. Instead, she was instigating him and supporting his behavior towards me. I spent years questioning why my mother didn't love me. I had stopped asking that question shortly before I turned 18. I simply accepted the fact that she and I would never have a meaningful relationship. So let me put the emotional crap to the side and tell you how karma came for Tom and my mother. I turned 18 and signed the papers to acquire Tom's house within a week. We settled the deal completely, and I could now proudly call myself a homeowner. My grandma and I even had a mini party to celebrate this new chapter in my life. Buying the house was just the beginning. I had more plans in store for my mother and stepfather. Even after I finalized the deal and took over the ownership of the house, I didn't tell Mom or Tom anything. I did see them celebrate the purchase by going out for drinks at an expensive restaurant. They didn't ask me, of course, and didn't bring anything home. I wasn't even expecting it. Anyway, that day, when they returned home from their countless trips to the mall, they sat me down and said, "I'm very disappointed in you, Katie. You still haven't got a job yet. Have you ever applied anywhere?" "No, I haven't applied anywhere, Mom. I don't want to have a job right now since my finals are near." "What makes you think that you have a choice? You absolutely need to get a job." "It is not compulsory for me to get a job, Tom." "Well, you have to, so that you can pay rent and utilities." "Why would I do that?" "You are 18, so we are not entitled to take care of you, Katie. We're going to need that money from you because you are not staying in my house rent-free anymore." Tom was reminding me that I was under his roof, and I had to do what he wanted. It had been like 10 days since I turned 18, and they were already demanding that I find a job and immediately start paying rent. When Tom finally told me that he was not going to let me live rent-free in his house, I started to laugh. They stopped yelling at me and were confused by my reaction. Tom's words were hilarious to me because he was still claiming that the house was his. He got angry when I laughed and said, "Why are you laughing, brat? Did I say something funny?" "How can you claim that this house is still yours when you have already sold it?" "Well, who cares about that? When we move out, you will go with us anyway. The new house we move to will also be mine. So, you'll have to pay no matter what." "Oh, is that so, Tom? Well, in that case, I won't be moving out with you guys." "What?" But then where will you stay? I can just stay right here. I like this house just fine. Are you dumb, or did you get a temporary memory loss? You know that this house is already sold. The new owner won't let you stay here. You have no choice but to pay me rent and move with me to a new place. Actually, no, Tom, I don't have to move with you to a new place or pay your rent. As for this house, well, let's just say that the owner would love to have me here. Don't delude yourself, Katie. They will kick you out of the first chance they get. How can anyone kick me out of this house when it actually belongs to me? Tom and my mother looked really confused and started to look at each other. I had just told them that Tom's house actually belonged to me. I think that my words hadn't sunk into their head that easily. So they were trying to figure out what I was saying. My mom said, "What are you talking about, Katie? What do you mean that this house is yours?" "I am the owner of this house now, Mom." "That is nonsense, Katie. This house cannot belong to you." "Believe what you may, Tom. The truth is that I bought this house from you last week." "No, this is impossible. This can't be true." "Here, take a look at this to see if I'm lying." I didn't have the property papers on me, but I did take a picture of it just in case I needed it. And that picture came very handy when I was facing Tom and my mother. Tom snatched my phone from my hands and started to see what proof I had. Once he realized that I wasn't lying, his eyes went with shock. My mom also saw the picture and put a hand over her mouth because she couldn't believe what she was seeing. She looked at me and said, "How is this possible? Where did you even get the money?" You wouldn't be too happy to know that I have finally gained access to the trust fund that Dad and Grandpa had left me. "What? The trust fund?" "Yeah, the same trust funds that you hid from me because you planned to steal it before I found out." "I don't know what you're talking about, Katie. I would never do that to my own daughter." "Don't try to act like you care about me, Mom. I know for a fact that you don't give 2 cents about me. All you care about is your man and your rich lifestyle." "That's not true, Katie. I'm really happy for you. You bought a house when you were so young. It's amazing." Mom was trying to get back into my good graces because she knew she had been caught and I was mad at her. Tom just stood there silently because he couldn't believe he lost his house to an 18-year-old. And not just any 18-year-old, but his stepdaughter, who he hated. My mom was telling me what a great thing it was for me to buy the house. Then she said, "Now we'll be able to get rid of Tom's credit card debt and stay in this house too." "Whoa, Mom, just back up a second. Who said that you two will be staying in this house?" "You're not going to kick out your parents, are you, Katie?" "Why shouldn't I do that? You two were quick to tell me to get a job and pay rent." "We took care of you for 10 years, Katie. The least you can do is let us stay in our house." "You keep forgetting the fact that it is my house now, Tom. And I believe that you have already signed papers saying that you will move out with my mom within a month after the sale. So you need to start packing because I don't think you can afford to go to court with me." "What is this behavior, Katie? Who does this to their own parents?" "You had no problem neglecting and depriving me for years. Then you had made plans to steal my inheritance. If you can't be a good mother, why should I be a good daughter?" I made a mistake, Katie. I'm really sorry. We'll be better from now on, I promise. Let's not hold grudges and begin a new chapter in our lives." I started to laugh at my mom and told her that she was delusional. She kept begging me to let this go and help them out. Tom just stood there looking sullen because he knew that his life was about to change for the worse. I enjoyed them looking miserable and begging for help. But after a while, I didn't even want to see them anymore. I went to my room and shut the door. The month passed by very slowly. Mom and Tom tried to talk to me and make me change my mind about kicking them out. Tom even offered a ridiculously small amount of money as rent if I let them stay with me. I laughed in his face and told him to get lost. Mom tried to emotionally blackmail me, but that didn't work either. I stayed strong and didn't talk to them more than necessary. Eventually, they moved out and are now living in a cramped apartment. My mom and Tom have started to have problems already, and my mom calls me frequently to complain about it. I simply tell her that she made her bed and now she must lie in it. You guys may be happy to know that I did really well in my finals. It looks like I'll be going to a good college after all. Mom and Tom tried to invite themselves to my graduation, but I only allowed my grandma to come with me. She was the only one who deserved this privilege. My mom cried about it, but it didn't even affect me. I am so happy that my father and grandfather left me a trust fund because this means I will be able to go to college debt-free. I'm not planning to go very far because I have to take care of my grandma. She hadn't abandoned me when I needed her, and I consider it my duty to be by her side when she needs me. Her health is declining pretty fast, so I know she won't survive for long. I plan to cherish our last days together and make lots of great memories.